I've got back into running recently, and one of the things I've found most challenging from when I first started was the fact that as a beginner, I used to get this sudden new sound of motivation, not new sound, newfound motivation. And one of the things I used to do a lot was I'd go for a couple runs, I'd start to build up that momentum, and then what would happen is it would slowly dip off, and I'd make a little bit of great progress, and then it'd go out the fucking window. And then I'd kind of rinse and repeat that cycle. I'd go on a few runs, get a bit of momentum, it'd get harder, and then I'd completely fuck it off, and I would I would completely lose track of progress and like all rounds of consistency. And I rinsed and repeated that kind of cycle for like months, if not even years. And if you want to get good at running, it's more than just going for a couple of jogs. You've got to have a routine in place that's actually gonna be something that is realistic for you and something that you're gonna stick to. Because if running was easy, wouldn't everyone do it? You know what I mean? And what I did was I put a routine in place that I could stick to realistically, having had months of experiences of running and years of inconsistent running. And I put together this kind of idea that if you can do something that's realistic for you, you're actually going to stick to it, and it's enjoyable. Because if you don't find it enjoyable, why the fuck are you even doing it? You know what I mean? So I kind of put together this routine or plan in place that I'm going to do going forward, and I just want to let you know what that is, and I'm just going to show you what the fuck I'm talking about, basically. So if you don't know me, my name is Prem, and I have been an on and off runner for the past 5 years. So I've been an on and off runner for the past 5 years now, and I only recently, maybe in the past year, really had that consistency like build back up and get to a stage where I started running consistently again. And then it's kind of tapered off after I ran my few 5k a couple of weeks ago now. I kind of tapered off and lost that momentum again. And I think it's because of the fact that I didn't have a routine in place. Whereas when I was working from 0 to 5k, I had a complete structure in place. I ran three times a week, Monday, Thursday, Sunday, and there was like a rigid military kind of fucking timetable in place that I had to kind of like religiously stick to, and I did that for 3-4 months on end, and then I was able to do it. And I feel like the reason my kind of progress has tapered off and I've been a bit more inconsistent recently is because I don't have a concrete goal to work towards, and also I don't have a routine that holds me accountable for running and making good progress towards something, such as running a faster 5k or maybe even running a further distance. And that's why I actually realized when I was doing the Couch to 5k was that was keeping me accountable and keeping me on top of my runs, because it'd tell me you need to run 3 times a week and you need to do this run, and this run. And they placed it's an app that teaches you how to run if you're a beginner and you have no clue how to start running, and they recommend running 3 times. So I would actually say, as you get more experience running 3 times a week is quite demanding if you have a busy schedule, and also you've got other commitments, such as, well, for me, my other commitments are lifting 3 times a week in the gym, and I also want to run twice a week. So trying to strike the balance between doing both of them is obviously going to be more challenging, because you want to have enough energy to lift 3 times a week, lift heavy, make progress and build muscle and shit, and then also run twice a week. And I enjoy doing both. I want to try and find and strike that balance between doing both. But also, even if you don't go to the gym and you're like managing, maybe you're working a job or some shit, you need to try and find time in order to find time to actually go on runs and kind of have a schedule you can stick to consistently. Because if you have like a timetable of exactly when you're going to do something, you're more likely to do it than what I've been doing recently, which is kind of like willy-nilly kind of running when I feel like it. And I've still been going on runs, but the quality of those runs have tapered off and they've gone down, if I'm being brutally honest. Like, in terms of my progress, it's kind of dwindled a little bit because I've been quite inconsistent. I've probably been running on average once a week, and I want to kind of work my way back up and maybe stick to a solid baseline of at least 2 runs a week as my kind of minimum effective dose, and then maybe up that to 3 times a week, so I can get back to running like I was just towards the end of last year. And a little bit about me, I started running about 5 years ago, and the whole reason this even came about was because of 2020 lockdown. Remember that, fucking years ago now. I had loads of free time on my hands, and obviously because of school and shit, I was at home. I think it was online at the time, or like on Teams and shit. I was so dead, and so it was so dry. I had loads of free time. Spent most of it playing like Fortnite and Warzone at the time because they were popping. But other than that, I wasted a lot of that time playing those games. But they were good. They were peak experiences at the time, especially what's it called? Rebirth Island. That was a sick game to play. And I remember playing those games back in lockdown up until like 5 in the morning. It was crazy, and I do that every single day. It's mad. And then I kind of got to a stage where I was like, that was all I was doing with my lockdown time, and I was like, I've got so much time in the day to do things because I wasn't going to school. So I was like, you know what, I want to start doing something and put my mind off like having loads of free time. And then that's why I first discovered running, being the Couch to 5K. And part of what drove me towards that was I've always been like a chubby brown kid most of my life, and I wanted to try and take fitness and health more seriously. So I started going on runs, and I actually made really good progress as I first started. It turns out I was fitter than I gave myself credit for, and I actually made quite good progress up until the point where I got really bad leg pains because of the fact that it was a number of things, like my form, my shoes, and just fitness were eventually gave out because I was pushing myself too hard. And if you don't have the right shoes for running, it can really fuck up your feet, and I think I fucked up my feet quite badly, and that put me off running for a few months after that, because you need specific shoes in order to run, and if they don't support your feet properly, your form and everything goes out the window. And you need to have the right equipment for running shoes. You need the right running shoes in order to run, so they can support your feet in the right way, and you're able to maintain that over longer distances. And my main kind of motivation behind that was I kind of didn't want to see myself as a chubby brown kid anymore, and I wanted to kind of break myself free from that identity and become someone different. And that's what I tried to do, and I actually made quite good progress with that up until I had those horrible pains. And at the time I didn't realise I actually needed proper running shoes and not just some clunky gym trainers that I'd wear for like PE and stuff. So I kind of fucked it off for like a couple of months after that because it was so painful when I got to a certain stage. And then I got back into it a few months ago, I'd say mid 2025, and that's when I started taking up running again. But this time round I invested in a pair of running shoes, and I started using them, and my running experiences was so much better. And upon doing that, I followed the Couch to 5K. I consistently stuck to 3 runs a week, did that every single week, and then had some instances where I repeated runs and then came back. And eventually, after about 3 and a bit months, I was able to run 5K in around 38 minutes. And that was one of my like happiest achievements, because I spent so long working towards that goal, and I fucking smashed it. My goal was to get it under 40 minutes, and I got it in 38 and a half, which I was really proud of. And what I would say is that is a great place that is a great place to start if you're a beginner. And as you get more experienced, you may actually start to realize that 3 runs a week is actually quite a lot. If you've got a lot going on in your life, I certainly did. And I would say, if you want to stay consistent with running after you've hit a certain milestone like a 5k, I'm gonna kind of slightly change my approach to running and go for a minimum of 2 runs every week, and have one of them be a short run and one of them be a slightly longer run. And with the short run, what I'm gonna do is have that be my challenging run. So if you're familiar with the term zone 2 is where you go for a jog and you're able to hold a conversation with someone. You're at a relaxed heart rate and you're pretty chill. You're not really working out, you're not really dying, gasping for air, you kind of chill. And that will be the kind of heart rate and intensity you want to work at in that short run. And then later on in the week, once you've recovered from that previous run, I'm going to go for a slightly longer run. And the kind of idea behind that is to build your aerobic capacity. I believe that's what it's called. And essentially, this run is going to help you to push yourself further and make greater progress. So one run you've got which will be short, and then another one which will be slightly longer. And this is for more experienced runners. If you're a beginner runner, I'd say start with the couch to 5k and work from there. If you're slightly more experienced like I am, I'm going to be trying this new method alongside my lifting to see if I can stick to it first, stay consistent. First of all, I want to stick to it, see if I can be consistent with it, and then maybe chop and change the plan from there. So as of now, my current kind of lifting and running structure, or like hybrid training if you want to call it that. So I want to hit the gym on Monday and hit push. On Tuesday, I'll go for a run. On Wednesday, I want to hit pull. Thursday, rest day. Friday, legs. Saturday, rest. And then Sunday, go for a run. And in terms of the runs, you kind of want to space them apart and try and not keep them close together, because you need time for your legs to recover. But that is the kind of basis I'm going to go for. And the gym sessions might interchange depending on what works best to my schedule, but that is the kind of rough routine and outline I want to have for my training structure. So that way I'm hitting the gym 3 times a week and running twice a week. Just do whatever you enjoy doing. It doesn't even have to be running. I do running because I enjoy it, and I lift because I enjoy it. Do things you enjoy. It's that simple. I do hybrid training because I enjoy it. I like to lift and I like to run, so I do both. And that is going to be my structure going forward. And that's where I'll leave you.